What's up guys, Jay back, one of the action figure review. But before we start, if you like your reviews unbiased and very real, then please hit that subscribe button and check out the other videos on our channel because that's what we do. And also check out the Action Figure Geek sub because it is the best sub on Reddit for action figure collectors. Now today we are looking at my first Storm Arena figure, the Ryu from Street Fighter Alpha 3, and I'm so excited about this. I've heard so many good things about these new Storm Arena Street Fighter figures, and I just had to check it out myself. This Ryu is going to be my first in the collection, but I definitely got Sagat on the side. But let's check out the packaging. I can't really say that I'm too excited about this packaging. You know, this isn't NECA. This obviously is not Mezco. It's not any of these guys like Marvel Legends. So this is pretty basic packaging in my opinion. I do like that here on the back we see these toy photography images of the figure doing these different poses, and I always like that because it kind of gives you, as you know, the collector, some ideas of how you want to pose this thing, or how, if you take photography, like how you want to do it. On the side we have this kind of generic image of him. I'm assuming is from the game. I haven't played Street Fighter Alpha 3 fully in a couple of years, but same image on the front with that normal logo from Street Fighter Alpha 3. We have Ryu's name and his life bar, and then of course right here through that little see-through you can kind of see him, and that's another thing I kind of don't like. I wish you can kind of see more through that clear cover. Yeah, but there's really not much going on with this box. I can't lie and act like it's a lot going on, but we can take a closer look here at the back. You can see he's got the HADOUKEN effect that we're going to take a look at, and this figure seems very posable. I really can't wait to open this because clearly Storm Arena and JADA are really killing this whole Street Fighter game right now. But I'm hearing on the streets that Storm Arena is a little bit better than JADA. But I've been a real big fan of JADA toys and what they've been doing with the Street Fighter collection. Packaging wise though, like I said, there's really not much more to talk about. You see the little amount of accessories, you see the little head sculpt, but it is a pretty basic box. I wouldn't say this is a collector's box. It's not something you want chilling on your shelf. It's just something you're probably just gonna rip open so you can get to the figure as fast as possible. Speaking of which, let's just get to that now because that's, yeah. Wow, pretty impressive already. I'd say most impressive right off the bat is just the paint job and but anyway, still on packaging, so let's talk about packaging. In the plastic, everything is packaged very well. I really hate zip ties, so any company, McFarlane, that is super into zip ties, I just can't. But let's talk about the figure itself, and here he is in all his goodness. Here's Ryu, and I have to say that as far as Street Fighter Alpha 3, this is the Ryu action figure. It has to be. I remember that game fondly. It was probably the main Street Fighter game I played as a kid, and I think this figure is just like, it's a spit image of him in the game. And I do think it's not fair to compare with JADA, but let's look here at his little key. Very realistic. It's made from like a soft plastic, and from what I understand, it is removable. I don't remove it in this video, but it is removable. On the back, everything is flushed well. You're gonna see that unlike SH Figure Arts or any of those guys, like, there's not a bunch of cuts. These guys at Storm, I think, are really good at just making a really articulate figure without having to look all cut up, because this guy looks really good. So his key is like a grayish. I wouldn't say it's completely white, certainly not like a full white. It's like an off-white. You got the double jointed elbow there. It's hidden pretty well, and I think it looks good. You have what I believe is basically a butterfly joint, if I'm not mistaken, except there's a little bit different than what you'll see on like a Marvel Legends. The skin, I guess you can call it, or the plastic on his skin, is very soft, especially like his hands here. As you can see, this hand, it doesn't come off easily, but it does remove very quickly if you need it to, and it's made from a very soft plastic, much softer than the rest of the body. The paint job is really impressive. You got some dark colors in there, and then you have the normal flesh color tones in there. They did a really good job getting dark in the right colors, more so on his chest, I think, but deep in the crevices there you can see some dark paint. And then he's just so easily flexible, but at the same time he stays in place. You have some figures that are like, they're very articulate, but they're kind of loose. Like that Cyclops, that new Cyclops, he's a little bit loosey-goosey. This guy is very sturdy. Like, if you put his leg up, as you can see here, we got the double jointed knee. It can really stay that. You can really get a very good realistic looking kick. He has a toe hinge even, and the toe moves, sorry, his foot moves very easily, and I love this toe hinge. A lot of figures don't do that kind of toe hinge. As far as the splits, as you can imagine, he can easily do the splits. This is the kind of action figure you probably want even more articulate than a Spider-Man figure, because this is a fighter, and they did a really good job. He looks up about that much, I believe, and then at the waist he looks down about that much, looks up about that much, so that's pretty good. You want him to be able to look as high as possible, and I think that's very realistic. The head sculpt as well, kind of made from this kind of soft plastic. As you can see, his headband also very realistic with the movement, kind of sits on his shoulder. They did a great job with this, man. I think anyone that walks into your collection and sees this on your shelf like this is a must-have Ryu. So taking a little closer look here, his waist, and again, like I said, you can take this key off. I'm not gonna take it off, but I've seen people remove the belt and then you're able to remove the key, which is cool if you want to take some different shots with him, like shirtless. And so the head spins around completely. There's really nothing that this thing cannot do. And if you are super into action figure photography, I think it's important to have figures like this, because you're able to stand them up and get them to do things without constantly using a stand. Even though, you know, I use one, of course, to get the kicks and certain poses that just would have been kind of impossible for him to stand up. But this guy does a really good job, man. I got no complaints with the figure. I have no complaints with how it looks, and I think surprisingly I'm impressed with the articulation even more than I'm impressed with the figure itself and how it looks to the eye. And he looks great. You know, right now we're in the whole Capcom, Gamerverse, Street Fighter, Marvel era. Like, everyone's trying to get their bid in on that, and this Ryu, I love that Storm Arena makes their figures able to just fit in with any of those other companies and what they're doing with the Gamerverse. As you can see, I took a bunch of photos with him with Wolverine and Spider-Man, and I think even with Captain America, and he looks perfect. Let's talk about the accessories. I wouldn't say he comes with accessories, because to me these aren't accessories. Yeah, they're more like he comes with a pair of hands from to do the Hadouken, and then of course he comes with the blast effect for the Hadouken, and then we have a separate head sculpt where I guess it would be the face he makes when he's doing it. But here, what I think really looks cool is this blue blast effect. It kind of comes apart. I wouldn't use them separately, but I like how they kind of made it 2 units instead of just 1, and then you connect it like that. Now, as far as standing this up, is very easy. It comes with a stand, like a lot of figures do with these effects, and you kind of just stick it in at the bottom, and then once you have it stuck into the bottom of the blast effect, you stick the bottom of this pole, and you can kind of like adjust it to make it taller or shorter, however you want it. You can flip it around, which I think is pretty cool that they allow you to, you know, adjust the height. But once you have it in the bottom like that, and it's connected, or like this rather, you just insert it. As you can see, there's like 4 separate holes in the base, and that's it. There's your blast, your key blast, or your Hadouken blast. And I like the height of it. If you get it up high enough, it looks good when he's doing it. And then we have this separate head sculpt. I really like this head sculpt because I love angry head sculpts or grinning head sculpts, sculpts that show some teeth. On the back here, you have the hole that his headband, he has 2 separate headbands. I couldn't tell the difference on them really. I think one just looks more naturally like it's flowing with the wind. This one's more straight down. But you just poke it into the back like that, and it sits pretty comfortably. And that, I think, is just a really good head sculpt. And then here are the hands. These like really super soft plastic, rubbery feeling, almost lifelike in a weird way, fingers on his Hadouken hands. And of course, these hands are really just going to be good for you trying to do the Hadouken, or if you want to do that whole image with him dapping up Cyclops. I guess this is the hand you're going to need. But then he comes with another base, and this base I'm not so sold on. This base is for the figure itself. This is you have 2 separate ones. You have like this metal one that I'll show you in a little bit, but then you have the plastic clear one. Now, while he can attach to this just fine, and I think it's pretty cool how, you know, you kind of put it on his waist first, and then you kind of like stick it into the adjusting height fixture. I think that's cool and all, because when you do this, you can get him to do some really, really cool poses, some that you in air poses that you couldn't normally get him to do. And again, if you wanted to have more of like a disguised official look, you can switch it to this black thin one that's kind of more metal, I guess, and that looks cool too. But the problem for me though is that this stand is just like, it does not stay. No matter what you do with it, as long as he's on it and his weight is holding it down, it's not gonna stay up, which to me kind of defeats the purpose, because unless I have him completely lowered to the ground, it just keeps tipping over. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Let me know if I am. But I think this thing would just be a lot more useful and make a lot more sense if it worked. See if he's on the ground actually, then yeah, it's a great tool to have him do some cool poses and kind of easily disguise in the background. But yeah, bottom line is, this is a great figure. My only complaint is that weird stand. I really love this figure a lot, and getting this makes me want to get all the other ones in this Storm collection. Here he is with some other figures if you want to get like a height comparison. I don't like that he's kind of the same height as Wolverine, but you know, you can kind of make it work. You can kind of make it work. And look how he looked compared to the other Storm, the old Storm stuff that they used to do for Street Fighter. That Balrog is so big. But yeah, I'm gonna give this guy a 5 out of 5, man. I love Ryu and I love Street Fighter. He's not my favorite character, Balrog is, and DJ. But I love this Ryu, man, and you have to have a Ryu in your collection if you're collecting Street Fighter figures. I've got Sagat, and I'm gonna unbox him eventually. But I also think I'm gonna order Ken from this Storm arena. And I don't know, maybe I'm done with JADA when it comes to these Street Fighter figures, because I'm just getting so much satisfaction, a lot more satisfaction than I get from the JADA stuff with this Storm arena figure. He's just great to me, in my opinion. So definitely go pick this guy up. Zero complaints. But what do you think, guys? I don't know. Like, do you think that JADA is kind of... JADA certainly put the battery in everybody's back to make them up the game with their Street Fighter figures. I'll give JADA that. But Storm Arena looks like they're coming back. They're not trying to play when it comes to Street Fighter. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching another unboxing. If you like your reviews unbiased and real, please hit that subscribe button and check out these crazy photos that I took with Ryu. All right, peace.